thank you. I like how you said the Hogs will host. We haven't hosted anybody for a long time, so we're very excited to play in front of our fans and play a very, very good Mississippi State team, well coached, very aggressive team. But we're excited to be back home. I have to get ready for 11 a.m. start, but so grateful that we get to play in front of our fans.
For questions, press 10, and we'll begin with Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Yeah, Sam, I was wondering if we could get an injury update. I think we saw Braxton and Pooh out there yesterday. Do you still feel good about them being able to play this weekend? Are you feeling good they will be able to play?
I feel good about it. Obviously, Andrew, we have a couple days left, but as long as everything goes fine, I feel good that they'll be able to play.
And do you have any update on Nudie? I don't think we've seen him out there. Is he getting closer, or what's the latest on Nudie?
Yeah, I think Nudie's getting closer as well. Hopefully, he can do some non-contact type practice today, and that's still kind of a little bit up in the air as well. But hopefully, he can, and if he does, he'll be available on Saturday. It's getting close to time where he's got to, if he's able to practice, he's got to get that done today, no later than tomorrow. Really, he needs to practice today if he's going to be available.
Thanks.
Next is Tom Murphy, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, you talked about Mississippi State's aggression on Monday and also today. I wonder how much do the linebackers Watson and Johnson, who some of those guys that feel like they've been there forever type guys, how much they play into that?
I think a lot. I think they're a big concern. I know they're a big concern for us, but I think Coach puts them at the point of what he thinks the attack is going to be. And they're really fine. They're two outstanding linebackers, but I think they really showcase their abilities by what they're doing on defense. And obviously they do a really fine job with all their movements and things of that nature, but they're going to showcase those two guys because they're very, very talented and very physical.
Isaiah Satania brought this up to us last night that there were a few plays where Bama's defense wasn't particularly set on when you guys went tempo, and it's not the thing I saw on game day because I was writing plays down, but I'm wondering, how does that play into maybe your decision to filter that more into what you're doing?
Well, I think obviously you don't want guys teeing off on you. I think fast tempo has a lot to do with not letting their cleats get set in the grass, or maybe getting out-gapped or something, not getting in the proper gap or something of that nature. Alabama's so well coached that there wasn't often that they weren't ready at the snap. But as we continue to move forward, I think we'll continue to use a little bit more.
Next is Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, always appreciate the time. Hope you're doing well today, sir. Wanted to ask about this stretch. It's been pretty well documented how tough of a stretch this has been, but either as your time as an assistant or obviously as a head coach, was this as tough of a stretch that you have been on a coaching staff?
I think so. Obviously when we got our schedule my first year here in COVID, and we had the pleasure of getting Florida and Georgia on the other side, that was a kick in the teeth as well, because obviously they were the two top teams on the East. But this stretch here, especially with it being away, and then the LSU game we didn't get in till 7 a.m. in the morning, and all those factors matter. They really do. But my biggest concern is our team playing hard? Do we still have the team? All those type things. Those are your biggest question marks, because if you play hard and you coach well, you've got a chance, and it really doesn't matter who you play. You've got a chance to go out there and win the game. So my biggest concern in this whole stretch was, can we keep the team? I believe we certainly have. I think we played and showed that we certainly have. But the stretch itself, we knew it was going to be brutal. Going through that, it certainly came to fruition that it was.
And you mentioned Monday about the importance of winning, and I know, Coach, I know there's a scoreboard there for a reason, but where I wanted to go was your kids playing kind of free and loose and not that pressure of winning. Do you sense that heading into the Mississippi State game, Coach?
I do. I think we've had an outstanding week of practice. I think, a lot of winning is believing that you can. Obviously, our kids are believe in each other. I believe they believe in their coaches. And, I think there is a fine line to the urgency of what needs to get done to keep some of your goals of the season alive versus panic. I don't think anybody in the building's panicked, nor our team. So I think our coaches have done an outstanding job with these kids. The kids have done an outstanding job as well. So you're 100% right. There is a big difference between panic and urgency. And I think we're just an urgent team that's hungry to win.
Thank you, Coach.
If there are any other questions for Coach, please press 1-0. A follow-up from Tom Murphy.
Yeah, also wanted to check on Cam Ball. What status of him is?
Yeah, he's fine. He's practiced all week. I believe he'll be fine.
And if you're able to get Nudie back at your cornerback spot, it seems to me like they've held up, even though the numbers have been a little bit low and different in recent weeks. What do you think an addition of Dwight would add to that?
Well, Tom, he hasn't practiced, so his role on Saturday would be very limited this week. Obviously, your depth gets better when he gets back, but I've been very, very pleased. I think the one that got back this week was Braxton, that we really need because he was starting when he got hurt. So I think that would have a lot to do with it. Nudie would certainly help us in the depth department if we can get him back this week.
Coach, that's going to be all for today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate everyone for being on here. Obviously, we're excited about getting back to SEC play after being away from it for 2 weeks. Again, coming off a bye week, right at the halfway point of the season, which if you ask most coaches, that's probably where they put it if you had your choices. And so it came at a good time for us. Now getting back to SEC play, going to face a really talented opponent. Cannot say enough about the respect and admiration I have for Coach Pittman and what he's done there at Arkansas. They're playing really good football right now. On the defensive side of the ball particularly, big and physical. And, you look at their record over the last 5 weeks, and 4 of those 5 ball games are one-score games. And if the ball bounces the other way here or there, or a couple plays, 1 or 2 plays are different, they could have a completely different record over the last 5 weeks. So I cannot say enough about the job they've done. They did a really nice job in the transfer portal, bringing in some impact players, and you see a lot of those guys making game-changing plays for them. And so we have our hands full, but we're excited for the opportunity to get back to SEC conference play. Thank you.
For questions, press 1-0, and we'll begin with Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
Hey, Zach, on the RPO game Arkansas is running, the run part of it, I think they're ranking somewhere in the hundreds in their rushing, and it just seems like people are sending guys in there to slow their run game. What do you see from Arkansas's run, and maybe how they changed it the last couple of weeks, what their offensive attack has been?
No, Arkansas runs the ball well. They always have under Coach Pittman. I think, with the way stats are compiled, sacks count against rushing yardage, And so I don't think it's always an accurate representation of actual call to run plays and what they are going for yards per carry when you just look at rushing stats. But they have a deep stable of running backs, all very capable. I'm impressed with the size and physicality of the backs. I mean, obviously, everyone talks about KJ and his size and physicality, which is certainly all true because, you look at, he got a corner blitz got him in the Alabama game. He threw the DB off him and proceeded to run around and find an open receiver for a huge long play. But it was just a Herculean effort to break that tackle and stay up. Well, the running backs are really the same. They're all big and physical and fast. And so you better be prepared for a physical football game when you're facing this rushing attack.
Gotcha. And how are you guys doing from a health standpoint? We saw that Rodgers and Marks were dinged up a little in the Western Michigan game. Just what are they looking like for this game?
Yeah, well, like I said, right, when a bye week, if you ask any coach when they put a bye week, if they could on their schedule, right there after 6 games is about where you put it. And so came at a perfect time for us and gave us an opportunity to get a lot of guys some rest and much-needed recovery and recuperation.
Next is Danny Smith of the Starville Daily.
Good morning, Coach. I was going to ask about the health, but do you think the injuries to Woody and Will and some of the other guys, it might be a game day decision before you really know?
Yeah, I think in general, right, guys who have been banged up lately have made progress from where they were last week. We're going to see how the next 48 hours plays out, but we are very optimistic that we'll get a few guys back for Saturday.
Thank you.
Next is Stephen Krajastik of the Clarion Ledger.
Hey, Zach. I was curious, you guys are the least penalized team, to this point in the SEC. What that kind of says about, the discipline of the team and how important it is to, play a clean game, especially, with some of the road games y'all got coming up.
Yeah, I think in general you can categorize penalties in a couple different categories. Pre-snap administrative stuff. Now this is Coach Leach's influence on me. He categorized those as just dumb penalties, right? Because you're in control of them, lining up in a illegal formation or jumping off sides, or those things you have good control over. Those obviously you want to eliminate all of those because fastest way to get yourself beat are turning the ball over, not putting the football, and penalties. And so we try to stress the importance of, you never want to lose a game. I mean by that is, right, you don't want to look back and say, hey, we lost that game because of things, self-inflicted wounds, right? Not protecting the football, penalties that set you behind the 8 ball. And I think the guys have taken that to heart and try to place an emphasis on that. Because then if you can eliminate those things, well, now it comes down to execution. All right? You still have to go out and execute. You have to play better and do your job better than the guy across from you who's trying to do his job. But at least you've eliminated those things that you can control. All right? And obviously penalties are a big part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like you said, all right, we played majority home games up to this point. Right now we'll be on the road more. It gets more difficult when you're in a hostile environment and the fans are working against you. Right? You got to block out the noise and all the other distractions, and so we'll see how we respond to that.
Next is Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, I always appreciate the time. Yeah, I know you talked a little bit about Arkansas's run game. If Rocket Sanders is a go this weekend, how much of after seeing him, especially last year in particular, how much of a game changer do you think Rocket could be at that running game, Coach?
Well, like you said, you just look at the stat line last year, and all the proofs in the pudding, it's clear he's a game changer. And again, they have a very deep stable of running backs who are all more than capable. But yeah, he's a special player, and I'm sure it's been a frustrating year for him. that he's kind of been dealing with an off and on injury and prevented him from being able to go. And you never want to see that in a great player because, these young men work year round for only 12 guaranteed opportunities. And so anytime they miss one is very difficult. He's obviously had to miss a couple. And so obviously wish him all the best in his recovery. And he's certainly a game-changing back when he's in there. And so we'll have to see. But we'll have to be prepared for it, obviously. We have to prepare for him like everyone else in that running back room.
Heard you earlier in the week speak very highly of Jaden Crumedy. And how important is a guy like Jaden on your football team, not just the position that he plays, Coach?
Well, good players are obviously highly important at every position, but particularly when they are older, experienced, they're more mature both physically and mentally. The consistency on a day-to-day basis is probably what you respect and admire so much. They're the same guy. They show up to the building, the same guy every single day because they're older, they've been through it longer, and they know what it takes from a daily preparation standpoint. And so him, along with multiple other guys in our program, they provide great leadership to the rest of our roster.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
It's going to wrap you up, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hail State.